Why do you put that flight on your calendar? Why do you put that dentist appointment on your calendar? Because you want to actually go. You put it there to prioritize it. You put it there so that nothing else can get booked over it. You put it there so it can actually happen. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Christy Wright Show, where faith meets personal development so you can have a bigger faith and a better life. I'm so excited because this month we have been focusing on planning for next year. Now, I know it is in the thick of the Christmas season, and hopefully just a few days ago, you had an awesome Christmas day and holiday with your family and the people that you love the most. But I want to continue to be in your corner, whispering some encouragement in your ear and giving you practical steps and encouragement to help you get ready for the new year, which is just a few days away. Now, if you've been with me for this entire month as we've talked about this, I want to give you a quick recap of the things we've talked about that play into what we're going to talk about today with creating a schedule. The first week of December, we talked about reflecting and how it's important to reflect on what was, reflect on 2021, in this case, and all of the things that you learned about that, what you want to do more of, what you want to change, what you want to be different. That's a really important first step before you dive into the new year, set the goals, and pile on the pressure. So week one, we really talked about reflecting. And then week two, we transitioned to looking ahead. What does it look like to cast a vision? We talked about sources for inspiration for your vision and what vision you want for your new year and for 2022. And then the next week, which was last week, we talked about breaking that vision down into tactical steps that we called goals. I walked you through what defines a goal and how to set goals that you actually want to achieve to make that vision possible. Now, this week, we are going to put all of it into action. It's no longer just theory. It's no longer just some notes in your journal. We're going to make this thing actually come to life. And that happens with creating a schedule. Now, one of the things I've noticed as I have been teaching on life balance and goal setting for over a decade, I have noticed a theme. Most people have a lot of things that they want to do. Most people have a lot of ideas, a lot of things they want to change, new habits they want to create, goals they want to set, things they want to accomplish. They have those things, and they never happen. Like, yeah, I want to work out, but I never have the time to. I want to start that business, but I can never get around to it. My husband and I haven't been on a date in 6 months. We can never make our schedules line up. I want to spend more time alone, but gosh, I just never seem to make it happen. As long as you live your life and there is a gap between what you care about and what your life really reflects, what you actually spend your time on, you're going to be stressed, frustrated, anxious, and angry because you're not spending your time on what you actually want to do. Well, I'm here this week to show you how you can fix that. How you can bridge the gap between what you want to do and what you actually spend your time on. And as practical as this sounds, it comes down to a calendar. Now, I want you for a second to think about your calendar. Whether you use a paper calendar or you use the calendar app on your phone, I want you to visualize your calendar. In a normal week or a normal month, and I know this week is not normal, you're probably off work and hopefully a little less busy because of the holidays and you're taking a break. But let's go back to like September or October. Let's picture a week of your calendar during a normal, typical busy month in your life. What types of things are on your calendar? What's it filled with? Doctor's appointments, meetings, school commitments for your kids if you have kids, maybe flights if you travel, dentist appointments. You've got all these things on there that are meetings and appointments and commitments. Why do you put those things on your calendar? Just think about that. Why do you put that flight on your calendar? Why do you put that dentist appointment on your calendar? You put it there because you want to actually go. You put it there to remember. You put it there to prioritize it. You put it there so that nothing else can get booked over it. You put it there so it can actually happen. Now, I want to rewind really quickly, and I want you to picture all those things that you want to do next year. those goals that you set, those things that are important to you, where are they going to go on the calendar? They probably, I'm going to go out on a limb here, they probably have not made it on the calendar in the past. You wanted to work out this last year. You wanted to go on dates this last year. You wanted to have time alone or run or start your business this last year, and you never got around to it. Why? Because it did not go on the calendar. Many of us view our calendar as this one source of truth. We say really bold statements like, I live by my calendar. I live by it. If it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. And yet, we don't put all of these things we say we care about. We don't put all of these changes we want to make or goals that we want to reach on the calendar. And then we wonder why they didn't happen. They didn't happen because we did not put them on the system we've chosen to live our lives by. If you want to make that vision come to life next year, if you want to make those goals actually happen next year, they have to be on the calendar or they won't happen. This is a tool to help you do what you say you want to do, be the person you want to be, and create the life that you want to lead. So whether it is something as important to you as a date night and you're going to block time on the calendar to make sure it happens, to make sure you remember it, to make sure you get childcare for it, to make sure that nothing gets blocked over it, whether it's a date night, maybe an earlier wake-up time where you're going to have some quiet time and you put it on the calendar, maybe even something as tactical as an earlier bedtime. I'll tell you, if I do not intentionally set a bedtime, as in an alarm on my phone or a block on my calendar where I can see it, I don't go up and go to bed when I really want to. At the time that I would get enough sleep and be more rested and be a happier, nicer person the next day. Instead, what happens is I sit on the couch like many people, I chat with my husband or scroll my phone or watch a show. None of those things are bad. They're just not more important to me than sleep, if I'm honest and being realistic about this. So I started setting an earlier bedtime, an alarm on my phone that reminds me 9:30, go upstairs and go to bed. These simple tactical steps of putting what's important to you on your calendar, on paper or on your phone on purpose is a massively important step in making sure it's going to happen. You want to achieve your goals next year? They need to go on your calendar if you want them to happen. All right, y'all, let's talk about how to do it. How do you put these things on your calendar? I know that you want to. Maybe by now you realize this is important for you, but you're going, Christy, there's no room. There's no space to put any of these things that I want to do. That's the problem. I just need more time. I need more time. Here's the good news. You actually don't. You don't need more time. If you had more time, you would fill it with more crap, and then you would end up in this same place, just more exhausted. The good news is you can make time for the things that are most important to you. Now, I have a really simple exercise to walk you through this to show you how you can put those goals that you set on paper on purpose and make sure they happen, how you can actually carve out time for them so that they are treated like the priority that they are. As I love to remind you all, you don't find time, you make time. You're not going to find time for these things. You need to make time for them. And so let's talk about how to do that. One of the things that I've noticed is that when we approach our calendars, it can get overwhelming. Maybe your calendar isn't so busy yet because you're in that holiday season, which is awesome. But before you know it, you might look up and it's halfway through January and you are crazy busy, you're exhausted, and you're running ragged all over again. What I want to do is I want to help you think through this with more clarity. So instead of taking your current calendar that you're used to operating in, where you just show up and react and respond to everything coming at you all day, every day, I want you to do something different. I want you to get a blank weekly calendar. I'm going to walk you through an exercise creating your ideal schedule. Of course, we know that there are very few weeks that are ideal, but this is a great starting point for you to see what you want to work toward. In fact, if you have my 2022 goal planner, there's an exercise where you can do this in the book. There's also an exercise in my book, Take Back Your Time, that walks you through this. So this is a really great, simple strategy to help you create the calendar that you want to actually live in. But you need to start with a blank slate. So whether you use your 2022 goal planner or you use a different planner or you use the calendar on your phone, I want you to get a blank weekly template, and we're gonna start to create your ideal schedule. Now, here's the order that I want you to plug things in. First, I want you to begin to put things in this ideal schedule, this blank calendar template we're using, put things in that you have to do. Now listen, you don't have to go to every one of those birthday parties this weekend. You don't have to sign up for every PTA committee. No, these things do not make it in the have to category. The have to category is like sleep. You have to sleep. This is a fact. You're probably going to want to sleep at night when the rest of the world is sleeping, unless you are a night nurse or you work evenings and that's just your regular rhythm. But sleeping is going to make it on the calendar. You have to do that. You also probably have to work. Now, what capacity and where and how you work, I don't know what that looks like for you. Whether you work inside the home from a home-based business, you stay home with your kids, and that is work, and you know it and I know it, or you work in a traditional office setting, I don't know, but you probably have some spot on your calendar for the work that you do. You're gonna wanna plot that. Everything else is probably optional. Now, maybe you have some things that you truly have to do. You have to take care of your mom, and she lives down the street, and every evening you bring her dinner to make sure she's taken care of. You have to do that. Yeah, well, of course that makes it in that category. But the majority of the things that you think you have to do, you don't. That truth right there can set some of you free. You don't have to do the majority of the things that you think you have to do. If you want to, cool. But own that and say, I want to do this. I'm willing to be exhausted because I want to do that. Or I'm willing to rush because I want to do that. Great. But I just want to remind you, you're not a victim to your schedule. You are in control of more than you realize. Or as my friend Rory Vaden says, anything on your schedule is something you put there or something you allowed to be there. So I want to help you plan this ideal schedule with intentionality. So first, put everything on this schedule that you have to do. Sleep, work, any other major commitments that you really, really have to do. The second thing you're going to put on this new ideal schedule, this template that we're working with, this blank slate that we are starting with, you're going to put the things that you want to do. What are things that you're currently doing that you want to continue doing? Maybe that's a workout, maybe that's time with friends, maybe that's a volunteer commitment that you love and you're passionate about. You want to do them. Now, one quick thing that I want to call out, if you are someone like me, where you want to do everything because it's all good and you have major FOMO and you don't want to miss out, and yes, I want to do this and that, and it's just too many things, I want to encourage you to take this a step further and ask yourself, not just what do you want to do, but what's right now? What are the things in your current calendar that are right now? Yes, this is a priority this season. I want to do it. It's important to me. It's a priority. That goes on the calendar next. Then the third step of the things that you're going to add to this new ideal schedule are things that are new. Maybe some of those things that you never got around to before. Things that you never had time for before. Date nights, alone time, earlier bedtime, starting the business, time with friends. I don't know what that is for you, but begin to plot those new things that you want to do that are a priority for you. When you look down at this new ideal schedule, you will realize this is the schedule you want to live in. And here's what's really cool. With just a few changes each week over the next few weeks, you can begin to live in it. Now, I don't want you to walk out on all your commitments tomorrow. That's not a great way to have balance or maintain relationships. But you might find 2 or 3 things that you want to delegate to someone else. 2 or 3 things that you can delete and stop doing altogether with very few consequences. 2 or 3 things you want to begin to add. As you make these incremental changes, roughly 25% of your current schedule per week over the next 3 weeks, well, in about a month, you'll be working your ideal schedule. Of course, different weeks will look different. Some will be busier than others. Some will have things that you don't want to do, but you just got to do them. But when you have this ideal schedule to look at and work from, it at least gives you this starting point to know the type of goals that you want to set and making sure that they're happening on paper on purpose. Guys, when you do this, when you reflect on last year, when you cast a vision for next year, when you set goals for next year and then actually put those goals on your calendar so that time is allocated for them to protect them, they don't get booked over, they're actually a priority, you will be amazed at how 2022 actually turns into the year that you want it to be. Hey, y'all, listen, I know it is so easy to feel overcommitted and overwhelmed. I have been there many times. In fact, that is exactly why I wrote my new book, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance. Because you know what? I don't believe life balance is just something you do. I believe it's something you create where you can have balance even in your busy life. In this book, I give you 5 practical, tactical steps that you can take to create your version of balance so you can shake the guilt and actually enjoy your life right now. Go to ChristyWright.com and go ahead and get your copy of Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance today. All right, y'all, it is time to take your calls, which I love to do. And today we're going to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota with Trudy. Hey, Trudy, how are you?
I'm great, Christy. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
I am wondering how I should handle a change of heart about my business.
Ooh, okay.
I've invested years of time, energy, and money, and I'm not feeling passionate for it anymore.
All right. Let's talk about it. What is your business?
I actually have 2. I have a photography degree, and I do that part-time as well as a full-time licensed child care provider.
Okay. And how long have you had each of these?
Photography since 2012, and I've been in daycare for 5 years now.
Okay. So when you say your business, you're burned out, you've lost your passion, are you talking about both of them or one of them more than the other?
You know, honestly, we've been in a season of hustle, and at this point, it's both of them.
Okay. Let's sit here for just a second. Let's hang out here. Let's take as much as you can. Let's peel away the layers of the emotion, of the exhaustion, of just the overwhelm where you cannot see clearly because you're just tired because of this season of hustle. If you could pare it back to get back to the heart of what you loved before, in either of them, do you think you could love either of them again if it was not the way that it has been done? See, in your mind, this business represents only hustle, only exhaustion, only overwhelm. What if we could create a world, and just go with me here, where you do one business and it's not hustle and it's not overwhelm, where you get back to the heart of the thing that you loved when you started that thing? Is that something you could love again, or have you just emotionally moved on from both of these?
You know, I think I could love probably one or the other.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to do both.
Yeah.
As well as some other part-time jobs. So
Yes. All right. I want to affirm that 2 businesses is incredibly overwhelming. I typically don't recommend it, to be honest. And those are 2 very different things. It's not like, oh, I do wedding planning and event planning, and those are very similar. These are 2 things in 2 different worlds. Let's talk about the financial aspect of it. If you were to sell, phase out, sunset, whatever you want to call it, one of these businesses, could you support yourself on the income of just one?
Absolutely. We've been working the baby steps for several years now, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm to the point where we're burned out, and I just don't have a large goal anymore. We're just about $10,000 up from paying off our house.
Wow.
And the motivation is gone.
Yeah. You first of all, from a financial aspect, you're doing amazing. And what I've noticed, and I've been hosting the Ramsey show for years, what I've noticed is when people get into the baby step 6, right around there, They have this almost kind of like midlife crisis / identity crisis. I don't have a big goal I'm working on. And we're wired for progress. We're created to strive and try and want. And those are not bad things. Like, it's good to want and to aim for something. I think you just need a new goal. I don't think that, I do think the 2 businesses is overwhelming. The season of hustle, we're going to fix that part of it. But I think it's just as simple as maybe re-envisioning what excites you now. It's okay if what excites you now is not what excited you 10 years ago or 10 months ago. It might be an exercise in journaling and reflection where, Trudy, you just ask yourself, like, okay, what would I get so excited and fired up to do, regardless of the money? Because the money's not even a thing for you right now. Like, you guys are great. It's not about the money. But what gets you excited? What gets you passionate? And as you begin to get clarity around that thing, what is that thing that excites you in this new season, knowing if it's one of the 2 businesses, awesome. And if it's not, that's okay too. You have permission to change your mind and your plans and your priorities, like I always say. And you've earned the right, not just from the work standpoint, Trudy, but even from the financial success standpoint. You have earned the right to do something different if you want to. What I don't want to happen is I don't want you to let a season of hustle and some overwhelm from running 2 businesses, which you never had to, you don't have to do anymore. Whether you had to at one point or not, you don't have to be the reason that you jump ship entirely and give up on something that maybe you could still love again. If I were you, here's they're practical steps, even though they're going to sound more, woo-woo. I would journal, and I would reflect, and maybe even talk to your spouse about it, because sometimes I can process things out loud with my husband, and maybe that would help you as well, or a trusted friend. And just reflect, what gets me excited now? What would I get really excited and look forward to, regardless of the money, because the money's not what's driving this right now. But then once you figure out what that thing is, like, hey, yeah, I could get really excited about photography again. And then once you know what the thing is, then you can set some goals in line with that. Like, okay, here's the problem. The problem is 2 businesses. So I'm going to cut out one of them. I'm going to sunset one of them, sell one of them, whatever. Hypothetically, let's say you do that and you're going to get rid of the childcare thing. That sounds very stressful to me, by the way. So like, photography sounds less stressful. I'm an outsider. You get to pick which one. But let's just, for the purpose of my teaching example, let's say you're like, I'm not going to do 2 anymore. That's too stressful. Agree. We're going to sunset or sell the child care center. We're going to get back to the heart of photography and remember what I loved about it. You could do this in the opposite exercise, by the way, if you want to get rid of photography and what did I used to love about childcare, et cetera. Get back to the heart of that and then set some goals around it. You know what I'd love to do? I would love to, instead of just taking photos of newborns, I would love to take photos of people in all different places across the country. So we're going to travel. We're debt-free. We're going to travel over the country. And maybe I do landscape photos and I sell those on Etsy. I don't know. But a new iteration of the old love. A new evolution of the old love. The old love was photography. In this example, could be childcare, could be something totally different. And we're going to find a new iteration of it in this season, knowing that money's not driving it, hustle's not driving it. We've earned the right to do something new, do something different. And then from there, set some goals that would get you excited. Set some goals that push you outside your comfort zone, that have a little bit of a learning curve, that have something new or different or hard that's going to build your confidence and make it fun, maybe even a little risky again, because that's a good thing for us every now and then to face our fears, learn new skills, do something scared. I think it is more that you have been so used to hustling, to you having a business represents the overwhelm, and it doesn't have to look like that. It does not have to look like that. You could pick one of these businesses, or maybe something different if you want to. You have the right to do that. Pick one of these businesses, get back to what you originally loved about it, and then vision cast, define, and again, this is in your journal, but cast a vision. What could that thing look like in this new season? What's the new iteration of that thing? What's the new evolution of that thing? And then you begin to set goals in line with that. I think if you do that, Trudy, I think that you will find your fire again. I think you'll get passionate and excited. And I think it will be taking what was good and right before and building on it, not completely throwing it out. I'm not saying that you can't. I just don't think you need to. I think it's still in you. We just need to find a way to get rid of the overwhelm and get some new excitement for this new evolution of it. I hope that helps. I hope you do it. I hope you journal and reflect and cast a vision and talk to your family. And I think you'll get clarity about what that's supposed to be. Thanks so much for calling in. Thanks for your question. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me as always. You can tune in next week for another new episode of The Christy Wright Show. Of course, for more encouragement on becoming the person you want to be, you can visit ChristyWright.com.